Good morning. Welcome to PairFect. We are joined today by top executives of GENIUSTO, a fintech company with operations worldwide. We have Shane Hermans, founder and CEO. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Dennis Emmanuel Peña, Director of Business Development and Strategic Project.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Welcome.
Thank you for
Welcome,
having us.
welcome.
I am
to our
Dina,
office. And I'm Comfy.
that's Comfy. So, what is a fintech company?
Good
Yeah,
question.
tell us about GENIUSTO.
GENIUSTO.
Well, look, I think, when we look at fintech or financial technology, we have to look at the whole spectrum of that. And, if we look at leading universal banks, that would be at the top spectrum of financial technologies.
Okay.
And then at the bottom end, I guess you would have, other financial service providers, like maybe perhaps microfinance, NGOs, cooperatives. And then there's also that rural banking space and thrift and savings banks in the middle. So where we position ourselves is we provide services and consultation and technology to the whole spectrum, but predominantly focus very passionately here in the Philippines to help with digital transformation.
I see. So it's just starting out here, right? I mean,
actually,
not everybody's
no,
so familiar with it yet.
Oh, you mean fintech or the Genius?
GENIUSTO
Well,
and
Genius has
fintech
been,
as a whole.
Well, Genius has been here actually working with the Philippines in various capacities with government and non-government entities for since 2015.
Yes.
In fact, we had our share of working with the great Governor Espinilla in working on some projects. One of those is actually the QR code standard just being adapted in the Philippines, and several other projects.
It's been an interesting journey. Like, when we first started here in the Philippines, if you look at, banking and digital banking and cashless banking, back in 2015, bank executives were saying, "Oh, no, that's 10 years away from now."
Yeah.
And
That's what I mean.
yeah, and look, that's the perception of that old mindset. And the reality is, fintech enablers have come in swiftly, and they've seized a very large proportion of market share. And this should be intimidating banks. Really, digitalization is really about servicing the customer, giving the customers what they need, when they need it, and anywhere that the customers are.
Level the playing field.
Yeah,
Even for the small players.
we're in the age of the customer, where
That's
customers
good.
are mature, they know what they want. And we're also in the age of disintermediation, where the middlemen are surely being. So what's the easiest point from getting to point A to point B? It's a straight line, no curbs, no whatever.
Curbs.
Yeah, so we are also in the age of platforms, and that's one of our expertise, providing platforms to enable financial inclusion. Platforms not only for financial technology, but for education as well. Because I believe, and we all believe in the company, that being financially included is also being financially educated, because that's crucial.
You mentioned this is the age of platforms, and you also mentioned that with fintech, banks should be threatened. So now, are you saying that with this platform, all platforms available, and the banking technology that's being disrupted with fintech, that in the coming months or in a few short years, there will be no need for brick and mortar banks, and banking transactions will be done through the platforms?
Look, I think, there's so many different use cases in the real world. I don't think bricks and mortar branches will ever completely disappear. I think it's an essential part of certain processes within banking to have a physical presence, to remain trusted, to be visible to the customers. But the reality is,
There'll be lesser need of it.
yeah, there's still a need for that. In fact, the reality is, as we digitalize or we go into cashless banking, so automated transactions, the reality is it's about convenience. It's about accelerating business and economic growth. It's not so much about let's be digital because it's trendy. It actually services a real life. Exactly.
It's a need. And if you go to my experience, I used to be in the rural banking sector myself. I've done fair bit amount of going around the country, and what I can say, what I observed, that rural folk, they still like the feel
The traditional.
of going to the bank. For them, it's not just transacting, for them it's really an emotional experience.
Interaction with
Yeah,
people.
it's like you know, if you go to the small bank, it's like they're like not only the financial advisors, but there's acting some sort of a confessor or advisor of this and such. And what I find what I find humorous and lovely at the same time is that there are clients of these small banks. When they go to these banks, they remove their shoes, they remove their slippers. It's like a holy place. Because wow, I'm finally here. I'm finally included. So it's
Okay.
more of have an emotional impact.
Right.
So just to add to what Shane said, it won't go away.
It will never disappear.
It will never disappear. It will be there in one form or another.
But we can't deny the fact that, online transactions or online
Yeah,
banking is really a big
Well,
need right
I
now.
know.
Well, yes, there's so many impacting factors for that, and you have to look at what the drivers are. Why do we need to go digital? I can give you so many use cases. One small example: I was talking to a young fellow from one of the local borough guys. His house had been broken into. Now his wallet was stolen, his cash, his money, and his phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so he had no wallet and no phone. Now the big thing is well, now he's got my phone, he can access the bank if we're digital. No,
Nope.
the money's still in the bank, it's not in the wallet. It hasn't been stolen, so he's just lost the phone. So he can always recover that. I think that's a basic security aspect. From a transactional perspective, it's so important to be connected to your customer anytime, anywhere. And really, who wants to be lugging around thousands of dollars of thousands of pesos when they can simply go in and tap and go?
Yeah.
I go to a
So convenient.
Quickie Mart or a 7-Eleven and it's cash only. It's like, wow, why wouldn't I just tap and go? It makes so much more sense. It's more convenient. It's less risk for the venue. From they've got armed security guards. They probably don't need those guys anymore because there's no cash to steal. So
Yeah, talking about cashless transaction, it's not really new because we've been using cashless transactions since like check payments or check transactions. Those are cashless transactions, and even when you use debit cards or credit cards now. No question is what other types of cashless transactions are there aside from what we've mentioned?
good. There's QR code transactions. So this is quite. This is, I guess, becoming almost like a little mega trend. Here in the-
Megatrend.
Yeah.
So it's quite convenient. It's where one device to another can simply generate a QR code with an amount and capture the account details and the amount and transfer funds. It's pretty simple. One that I really love and what if we look at emerging countries and we look at the process. POS, so point of sales, are becoming quite popular here. And I think to myself, well, okay, let's look at the journey of cashless transactions. And POS plays an important role, and it has done in Australia, in the US, in Europe.
Point of sale.
Yeah.
Exactly, point of sale. So what's actually occurring now is that's kind of like old hat. Why? Because people's bank cards can now be digital and in the phone. So what people are doing and what's mega trending in Europe is you simply have your phone, that's your bank account. I was actually literally only 2 weeks ago in Poland at a castle doing a tour, and on entry I had to pay an entry fee. I didn't use cash. I used my digital, and I just tapped at the point of sale and I went on my tour. That's how simple it was. I guess another advantage to that is, I think we talked about this earlier about coronavirus, and we didn't have to exchange any cash, so there was
No
kind
touch.
so there was that kind of safety around that. But it's also much more secure. You've got multiple layers of security in your phone. Everybody's got a phone.
Right.
You're less likely to lose your phone.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's very nice to hear you say those things. I mean, understand how it works and everything, but have you encountered any resistance from like the traditional Filipinos
Well,
who don't
it's-
really understand how it works and they don't want to even learn?
I'm glad you asked that because if you look at the Philippines, most cashless transactions and digital payments this year. are being done at the urban areas and not the rural
Yes.
areas. Because if you go to rural areas, one thing it's about really boils down to education. A lot of Filipinos think that, oh, my money is not secure. It might be lost. It might be hacked. It might be this and that.
Right.
It's all about trust. And how do you gain trust? You get
build-
familiar.
you
How
build
do you
it.
get familiar? You give them knowledge. You educate them. So governments like the BSP, the BOF, and fintech organizations like GENIUSTO, we're only not providing platforms and what have you. We're helping them to
Educate.
educate them and build that trust. So once that trust is enabled,
I think there's more to it too. Like I agree with that. I think that's critical. But what I've also noticed, if we look at China or Latin America and their whole digital transformation roadmap as they went to a cashless economy, what were the triggers? How did they do that? What were the drivers that made customers use this process
Adapt. Yeah.
and adapt?
Yeah.
And they did it quickly.
How did they do
They did it extremely quickly. But the reality is they use some very simple logic. They attach the cashless transaction, okay, to real life transactions that are part of everyday life and real life needs. So if you want to participate in what you need to pay for it cashless.
Okay.
Yeah. To follow up on Dina's questions, like resistance, and of course you mentioned trust issues, which is critical. But there's also an issue of laziness. Because I heard it
Lazy.
I heard it from
talking about me, or-
I heard this
now he's
from
talking to me.
I heard this from a top executive from a big
Right.
fintech company.
Okay.
Even he's a top provider of fintech technologies.
Okay.
His platforms are everywhere. It's
Okay.
being used by most of the big companies now.
Okay.
But even he doesn't use his mobile applications or online digital online and digital payments platforms to pay for his electricity bills, for his water utility bills, and so forth. He still prefer the old system of asking somebody from his
Sending the
office
help to
his helper to pay for these transactions.
Via cash.
Yeah, via cash.
Look, that's all good and well for a senior executive who's in that position,
Yeah.
but let's face it, that applies to the top 1%. The majority of the population isn't in that position.
Doesn't
And
have that luxury.
I honestly, I'm a hands-on guy. I like to get to know my customers. I spend a lot of time in the provinces because it's beautiful, but also for the experience and to get to know people. And what I've seen, and I've seen those little, what do you call those little tricycles?
Tricycles.
Tricycles.
The tricycle. Okay. So the little tricycles loaded up with like 10 people, and they're all on their way into the main town. Now, what are they doing? They're going in the main town. Why? To get money, pay bills, spend money, buy groceries,
Do their daily life.
do their
business.
daily stuff. They need this stuff. They're not sending the help.
Right.
They're not lazy, they're all crammed in on a thing. They're actually doing it pretty tough. I've even spoken to just at a branch level, stood in the actual branch waiting room, watch people coming in, and introduce myself and sort of ask, oh, how far did you have to travel to get to your branch? Oh, okay. So quite a long way. You've been traveling. You took a bus, like a jeepney, then a tricycle.
They crossed the river. They did a Tarzan like
Climb a
Dubai.
mountain.
Rode a carabao.
No.
And this takes time and costs money. And
Yeah.
one of the things I love about going cashless, one is the security. It means
Yeah.
that I'm not exposed. It means that I can do what I want when I need to pay my bills wherever I am. I'm not restricted. I can pay if I'm on holidays overseas, I can pay my bills. So there's the beauty of that, but it goes above and beyond just the trust factor and the convenience.
Yeah, exactly. Convenience.
It gives me my time. This is our most valuable
That's
asset.
right.
Yeah.
I've got time to do other more important things in life, like spend time with my wife, my kid, family. This is more important.
Do you conduct all your transactions using your e-wallets?
Well, not just e-wallets, like business bank accounts, savings accounts, my what should be called spendings account. But yes, I use several apps.
Yeah. Because I have several apps as well, but I'm not using them.
At all.
No. I use some, but not in all cases. Because I'm also guilty of preferring, even if I have the tools, and even if I know how it works, and even if I know it's convenient, I still prefer some.
So it's a
some
matter of
transactions.
habit.
You're in a routine. It's a habit.
Yeah.
You know, we are people. We are creatures of habit. This is what we do. We get in a routine. We wake up every morning, wash our face, brush our teeth, have a cup. It's getting into this cycle of change, and the only way to do that, and I think for banks, that if they want to create a better experience for their customers, they want to reduce the cost of their operations so that they can deliver their products and services more affordably to their customers. They need to get on the front line and educate the customers at that point of contact. One at a time. Well, they're going to talk to them anyway. They're sitting there talking to relationship managers over the counter, and they're doing the manual process. Hi, sir, by the way, did you know that you could do this payment here on your phone from your living room? You don't need to come all the way in unless you're applying for something, opening a new account or applying for a loan. Yeah. So this is just about educating the customers. And I think that's the big problem, is that customers are not being educated. Yeah.
It's normal now if you go out and you dine out and you eat out. It's very common now to see these QR codes of several companies, several service providers for that. But we still prefer paying cash.
No, well, can I be honest with you? At every single venue that I've been to that has these QR codes, not one single customer service representative from any of the cafes, restaurants, or venues that are offering this service have actually said to me, "Sir, do you use you can pay the..."
Yeah, exactly.
Not one has asked me.
Even tap.
Yes.
Not one.
They just have the QR code
This is
brochure there.
so you have to kind of look at it. Like I drove in today and I saw a brilliant billboard for QR code by, I think it was Peña.
Peña,
It was like, oh wow, and it's like, okay, that's great. You're telling everybody about it. Now tell people how to use it. And when they're at the restaurant, like, hey, use your Peña. You can use it. What's the incentive?
Yeah,
So
you don't really get that kind.
So it's like, I give you a pair of pliers unless I tell you that we can use it to pull your teeth.
You won't.
You won't.
So you've been in the country since 2015,
yes,
right here. So would you say that the growth has been very slow in terms of educating
Look,
people?
no, look, I'll be honest. Like I've heard a lot of different comments in the industry, and a lot of opinions. I think Filipinos are highly intelligent and they pick this stuff up incredibly fast. In fact, you guys have got the highest population in the world of Facebook users. Like, I'm not kidding. And they're not using laptops, they're using mobile phones. So that says something. Filipinos, I think, if anything, have that more community aspect, that community vibe, opposed to other countries, and I really love that. It's a really beautiful part of the culture. As far as education goes, the youth culture here is game on. There's no joke. There's no kidding. Like actually, I know a young boy who does all of the. He's only about 10 years old. Steve. He does all of the digital stuff for his grandparents on the phone for them, because they're like, I don't want to do it. So he's doing it. We call that bridging the gap between the digital divide, right? So
in 2013 there's about 25 million digital transactions or payments. But going forward, 2018, 2019, it grew 25 times to 450 million transactions. So it's there. It's there, but if you look at it, it's not fast enough, but it's really concentrated on the urban areas. It hasn't really reached its peak, if I may use the term, at rural areas.
It's interesting. I was in Chagao not so long ago, and I had such an amazing experience. And I said to the owner of the resort where I stayed, I said, "Oh, your menu's not consistent with what you do." She's like, this is a master chef, by the way, that owns the venue, and she said, "I'm so sorry, we're having challenges with supply and demand. So, if we want to look at some of the drivers on why go digital, this is going to impact on commerce. It's going to impact on supply chain management. Let's get real. Like, if we want to increase economic growth in the country, we need to be attractive.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to do things that are going to be appealing and comfortable for tourists to visit and spend money.
Yeah, how will digital transaction disrupt the supply chain?
Well, this is I can give you so many examples.
Yes.
I just from a resort level, like if a foreigner's here and they don't know where ATMs are, and there probably are no ATMs for several kilometers, and they don't have cash, how can they pay and spend money at the resort? They're willing to spend. All you need is some sort of
Payment.
QR code payment system, mobile to mobile. You don't need a POS. You can use a mobile phone. It's very easy to do. You can, from a supply chain management, I'll give you an example. This particular resort owner had to fly to Cebu to pick up and order supplies and do their banking in Cebu to send and internationally remit money because they couldn't do it from Chicago.
Yeah, imagine the effort.
That's a flight.
Yeah.
People are flying to do bank transactions.
Even in Batanes, there's only two banks. They have to fly.
Yeah.
Pari.
Yeah, and speaking of Batanes, there are only 2 ATMs there, and there is a schedule
Yes, there is a schedule. I've been
to
there.
withdraw money.
Yes, there is a schedule.
There's a schedule to withdraw money.
So let's look at some of the challenges. Philippines is a very beautiful and interesting place, and it offers some brilliant case studies. It's so challenging. You've got several thousand islands here. Okay.
Archipelago. So the more we need online banking.
Exactly. Well, the reality is when you've got those, I guess those water borders between islands, you need to have infrastructure.
Yes.
You can leapfrog over that infrastructure and go straight to digital. I think Jack Ma mentioned it not so long ago that the Philippines is the best position for going digital because you have so many islands. It makes sense. This is true. This is a fact. This means that one person on one island can send money to another person on another island. It's a
The
no-brainer.
problem is internet connection, I guess.
Yeah, internet connection.
Well, I've got to be frank about that. I hear that so much. Like, okay, the quality's not brilliant everywhere, but I find that in Australia as well. In fact, my internet quality here is better than in Brisbane. So I'm getting way better signal than I do in Brisbane, and I'm right near the backbone in Brisbane. Here, that says something. There's a lot of flack towards the infrastructure providers for that, and I think they're doing an incredible job. It's so challenging.
It's a good
Perspective.
Yeah. They are.
Well, try connecting. Think about it. Try laying electricity down for 7,000 islands, let alone
The cables.
internet.
Yeah.
So they've done a great job, and most places, like I was in Subic Island, not long ago. Beautiful. Had internet. I was doing selfies on the beach. It was great.
You mentioned earlier that the coronavirus could be spread through the transfer of banknotes. So how would that affect or push the adoption of cashless transactions?
Shane and I were going here. We were talking in the car. As we were kids, our grandparents or parents keep teaching us, don't put your cash inside your mouth. Don't play with it. Because the cash.
It's dirty.
It's dirty.
It's dirty.
Yes.
So it's always been a thing, really, that money is dirty, and it's no big secret. I think, is it possible? Look, I'm not a doctor, but it's possible. It's highly possible. Is it a good?
To sneeze into, I guess.
Well, I've been touching stuff. I grab my money and I give you money. It's kind of like when I was at immigration the other day. Like, I noticed that the immigration stuff, I'm in a queue with all of these people that have flown into Manila, and they've got the heat sensor, and okay, great, and there's some disinfectant. But what was interesting was the immigration staff were handling passports from every single individual. One person, next person gets next person gets it, next person gets it. I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, okay, this is when we need to address issues like that, right at the point of the,
So we should disinfect money.
Yeah, but you look at cash. How many hands did the cash
handle the
Not only hands, but how many devices, how many tabletops.
yeah.
Where did it go? Where did it last land? So you don't know.
Look, it is a driver to go cashless, I think, for certain people. Perhaps tellers at the bank that are counting cash. But and perhaps it might be a problem. But it's the least of our
Yes,
reasons
it
to
is.
go cashless. I think the biggest driver for it, is economic performance. Improving efficiencies for the country. I think if anything, small businesses will benefit from it. Individuals will benefit from it.
Yeah.
They'll have financial education and support through this. I think if anything, it will also help with what we call the new collaboration economy, where people start working together rather than me and my. It's sort of like us and we can collaborate. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are 74% of the adult population are unbanked, so they are underserved and unserved.
Yeah.
And especially those small vendors, the MSMEs, the government is encouraging them to go cashless.
Yes.
To use QR code. In fact, there even a program for the ordinary tahu vendor, the sorbitero, to use QR codes. They have the capability. But why are these MSME not adopt or slowly adopting these cashless transactions?
That's a good point, and I think it's because we haven't positioned the cashless transaction in the most effective way. It's really, we have to start with what we call, and I would call it critical transactions. Okay, transactions that people need to make, to participate in life as we know it. Whether it's bills payments, whether it's medical payments, government services or professional services. This is a starting point, and some enablers for that, or how can we say, inclusion tactics that we could use would be to enable your local convenience stores, enable the Quickie Marts and the 7-Elevens, because it will create that habit. We are creatures of habit. I like to think too, you mentioned unbanked. I like to frame that as underbanked. The reality is, a lot of those people, nearly half of those that are unbanked or underbanked, have access to financial products and services. Not easily, by the way. And from non-traditional financial institutions like NGOs, MFIs, and they're doing a really tough job out there. They're trying to deliver relief funds and relief finance and insurance to help these communities with the additional costs of what we would call gas burn. The gas burn, the ability to get that product from A to B is more expensive in a rural community than it is in the city. This is another powerful use case and driver for going digital. Okay. Now the reality is, or the challenge is, which we've discovered, is that a lot of these organizations really need support. They need support from technical experts, infrastructure to help them.
Even government, in some form, even government. But speaking of government, in terms of our governments past and present, they do have had instituted projects like, I believe that the national ID system would help. If you look at the case study in India, when they implemented Aadhaar, financial inclusion really grew because of there's now a reliable single source of ID for EKYC and EKYE. So that's big. That's big. So because most Filipinos, when you open a bank account, what do they ask you? 4 types of IDs that a lot of Filipinos don't
Government issued.
have. Government issued IDs that don't have. So if you have that single ID system, reaching the underbanked, if you change it, would be more efficient. And you know what? Speaking of financial inclusion, it's interesting in the Philippines that Filipinas, the women are most financially included than men. They have better credit behavior. They have better financial behavior. They have
more financial maturity.
No, there's a study on it. There's a study on it.
But we're supposed to be the money makers.
Most.
What do you mean?
We're supposed to be the.
Speaking of the ID system, I think some of the local governments are already undertaking that But Makati has an ID system, and
Yes.
And some provinces,
I think they
San
use it
Pedro.
that way too.
Yeah, look, there's some incredible initiatives out there. I think, what's important is those enablers
Yeah.
start to be put into market and position, that everybody's aware and focused on collaboration and making sure this works seamlessly.
And
for
yeah,
everybody.
we have to educate these MSMEs that going digital, going cashless is more beneficial for them. One, they eliminate the risk of marketing, say, because they don't have any cash. Say I'm a vendor, I'm a fish vendor, and I'm carrying 50,000 pesos with me right now to buy fish for my sources or my suppliers. But then I got robbed. So, but if you do cashless transaction, then there's that risk is eliminated. Second thing is, since I am using digital transaction, then I will have a financial footprint, right?
Yes.
And I will have
History.
now access to financial services, not just the 5-6 offered by by these loan sharks.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bit of I think what's also common out there too, and you guys will probably appreciate my understanding of this is trust.
It's
Right,
trust.
the-
It is trust.
In the past, there's been some.
It's always been about that, right? When it comes to money, handling money, transacting
And
money.
in digitalization as well. In fact, we have a program which we call DX or DTAP program, where we sort of further educate our partners and their clients on what really is to be financially included using digitalization. Because it's like a good Shane said, and you said it's always about trust. How can you trust your system to
Yes.
to work.
How can you trust something you're not familiar with, or
And there's no face
yeah,
to
you
the
don't know,
transaction.
like
Yeah.
dealing with an
Internet banking.
invisible. It's like that.
I think once I'm kind of like this as well. You know what? I don't. They say read the book. I say watch the movie. It's a lot easier to absorb, right? Someone says just read the instructions over there. I'm like, just show me how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I do it. And people are like that, right? They just so once you show someone how to do it once, they're gonna pick it up. They're gonna go, God, that was easy. It was so convenient. And from a security perspective, this is actually more secure than carrying around a card. You lose your card, it's being used for purchases online, and that's happened to me on a number of occasions.
How is it safer? Because it's in your phone. Like, what
It's
if
encrypted.
you lose your phone? It's encrypted.
It's encrypted. You have multi-factor authentication to get in.
Okay.
It's got GPS built into it. It's bound to your phone number, which identifies you as a user. You lose it, you switch it off. No one can access it.
and look at the habit of a lot of people. I've observed this. They'd rather forget their wallet at home, but they would not
My
forget
phone.
my phone. I can forget my wallet. I can forget my driver's license. I can get away
This
with
could
it,
be
but
your
I won't
wallet.
forget my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, essentially that's the goal, and I think that's the mega trend in the rest of the world is that this becomes your wallet. This becomes your bank accounts. And
How far do we have to go? I mean, the Philippines in terms of digitalization.
How far?
Do we have a long way to go? I mean, from your experience, you have operations in other countries.
Yes and no. Look, I've seen a lot of programs out there, some successful, some not. And it is trial and error. It's really about going out and keep going.
Yeah.
I think if anything, what needs to occur is that financial institutions really need to listen to their customers. They need to, at that point of contact with their customer, educate them a little more, because it's not just about, people are like, why are you forcing me to go digital? We're not. It's actually convenient and it's cheaper for you. We're doing you a biggie, right? It's about doing them a big solid and helping them out. And they don't know that, because if you don't tell them that, they're never going to know.
Yeah.
Shane, before you established GENIUSTO,
Yes.
were you already in the banking industry?
Yes, I
or
was
digital
consulting
industry?
as an Asia Pacific head in fintech. So
Okay.
yeah, so we were enabling what we call virtual banking technology.
That was how long ago?
Oh gosh, that started in 2000.
Don't ask him to associate.
That's a long. It's back when I had hair.
So you were
A while now. Yeah.
a while now.
Yeah. Thanks
Same
for asking.
answer. Same
So when
answer.
you started the business, I
Yes.
mean, what what made you start it in the first place?
Well, look, we were, as a consultant and a fintech enabler in Asia Pacific, I was seeing a lot of gaps in the market. And I guess I'm an old hat. Like in that regard, I like to, if I see problems, I like to come up with solutions and fix them. It's just the way I am, you know. That needs fixing, let's fix it. So as an enabler, that really suited me well because I was solving a lot of problems. And then I realized, well, hang on a minute. This could actually work better as a vehicle to deliver more solutions that fix more problems. And so I spent a couple of years actually doing research in Asia Pacific, looking for, I guess, where the biggest challenges were and where we could apply certain technology to help. And, you know, the Philippines won, you know, it's a great place. It's got a great culture, lovely people. It was very easy for me to transition into because of, you know, the Catholic and the English, and yeah, it was a good experience. So
Aside from the culture and the beautiful places that you've been mentioning,
Careful.
what else? What else attracted you to do business in the Philippines and to choose the Philippines as your base of operation?
well,
Like I said, careful.
no, I don't know if you guys know much about Australian culture, but yeah, Australians have a tendency to support the underdog. I don't mean that in a negative way, but you know, I'm a battler. I come from, you know, Australia, Aussie family. We battled our way through, and then I come here and I see, you know, a lot of people battling, and that hits me here. And that's another driver why I'm here, because I believe that I get them. I understand what they're going through. I could have, like, I get down and I get dirty. I could have jeepney ride. Noted that I wasn't told that it was a 3-hour jeepney ride. So that was fun. But there was an interesting guy that, you know, really moved me. He, you know, we were driving through some rice fields. We pulled over to pick up this guy. He's an older man. And he had a broken leg. And his leg was broken and the bone was outside of the leg. And it was so broken that it was actually sitting down on the ground, and he was using it as a walking stick.
Whoa.
And he was walking and smiling. Now the skin had healed over, and that was like that. Now he couldn't afford medical. Okay, this poor guy, and he was smiling, I'm taking you to the hospital. Like, what can I just? No, it's okay, it's okay. And that really moved me because, you know, that's only one part of the whole problem here. You know, certain NGOs are providing support. There's so many people doing the best they can with what they have.
Yes.
And I think through more than just financial inclusion and digital money, digital transactions, because when we say cashless, we don't mean there's no cash. We just mean that it becomes digital in a certain way. That not only can we share and improve services, we can reduce the cost for those services, meaning we can help more people, right? If it costs less to run a business operation, you can serve more people, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, let's talk about something specific. You are a fintech enabler, and you're providing digital solutions to banks. You have a project in Kamaling, Bicol. Right?
Yes.
So tell us, how are you helping this Kamaling bank to achieve its digital transformation?
Look, Kamaling's an interesting bank. You know, they're really driven. You know, we spent a lot of time working with these guys in digital transformation. We did a workshop series. They're a legacy bank, so they're running on legacy systems. They're very traditional. I think they're one of the top rural banks as far as presentation, performance, and commitment to customers and all that is concerned. So really inspiring for me. What was interesting, and when we talk about how ready are people to transform, when we talk about the workshop series that we did on digital transformation, normally at the end of the session, a bank will take a week or two to respond and do the activities. They showed up the next morning with everything done.
Really?
Yeah,
They are so committed to.
ready. They were ready.
This is a commitment to the community, and you know, in saying that, that means so much, right? That they're not just banks trying to get people's money. These guys are really what we would call critical economic actors in these communities, driving home real life services and
Right.
products that people need. Now, some of these smaller businesses in the communities can't survive without them, and that's moving. You know, that's a completely different mindset. That's what we call real life banking, right, or social banking. It's beyond that whole lifestyle. I'm a big bank and I'm gonna get the biggest profits for the shareholders. This is about the people and community. And
I'd like to add something about Kamalik. I was there several months ago in different capacity, different company. We did a couple of interviews with their clients, and they knew or they know about the digitalization effort of Kamalik, and they were happy. It means that Kamalik is really has listened to the needs of their customers. In fact, there was one interesting point or thing about that conversation. There was a nice elderly lady who stereotyped, she's old, she doesn't know digital, but she was the one demanding, I need this because I'm old, I don't want to travel, I don't want to transact my business. And she was happy that Kamalig is
finally digital.
doing that.
Going digital.
Doing digital.
How is your partnership with Kamali changed that bank? I mean, in terms of services, improvement or increasing in the number of products that they offer.
Look, I think there's been a lot of knowledge handover as far as digitalization is concerned. Digital transformation, is no easy feat. It's not a walk in the park. Like, it's hard work. It's change. We're creatures of habit. We don't like to change, so change becomes a challenge. And I think they've adapted really, really well to that process. They've really started to build out the right resources in-house to support this type of digital bank. And from a products perspective, I think they're bringing the community what the community needs. And this is exciting, you know what I mean? This is a real game changer.
They can now accept remittances from.
Yes, well, all kinds of things. Yeah, so anything you'd expect. So peer-to-peer payments, funds transfer, bills payments.
Yeah, things that they could not do if they're just an ordinary rural bank.
Well, they could do them, but they would be manual, lengthy,
Expensive.
very expensive.
Time consuming.
That's the most important thing. The customers would now have time
Yes.
to do their business, to take care of their family, to educate themselves, to learn, than just traveling 2 to 3 hours just to go to a physical location, transact for 10, 15 minutes and travel an additional 3 hours back. So they save the 6 hours.
And I guess from banks' perspective as well, if they're automating processes, this frees up their resources to focus on better customer service and other more important things. And
So we wish you more success stories like Kamali Bank.
salamat.
Thank you very much.
Kamalik is very
Close to
near
my
her,
heart.
close to her
You're
heart.
from
Oh,
Bicol?
Bicolana, yes.
Oh, nice.
I'm from Albay. Near
Albay,
Moyoyong.
Albay,
Anyway, thank you very much for your time. I think a lot of us now understand more about digitalization, and we wish that we will get there to that point where everybody will go
Together.
Together, and hopefully we can change our habits
Yes.
to adopt.
I'll show you how to do that after.
That's the end of
So we hope you had a very enlightening time with PairFect and our guests from GENIUSTO. So let's all be geniuses.
Yeah. Well, thank you
See
for
you
having
next
us.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.